This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Djuma Private Game Reserve, Sabi Sands, Greater Kruger National Park, Greater Limpopo Transfrontier Park. Here we are in the southeastern corner of Africa. My name is James Henry, and on camera today, very unusually for me, great pleasure to have David Eastraw, high noon with me today. Good. Please talk to us, #SafariLive, of course, on Twitter, and using the chat stream on YouTube. We are looking around here for apparently something that Tristan saw with the drone earlier this morning. So far it's remained utterly invisible, as has everything else to us this morning. We've been driving around here for the last hour or so, desperately trying to find things with all of our sophisticated technology, and between the technology and our eyes, we have thus far failed to find anything of any use to show you whatsoever. We will not give up, however. We will keep checking. There are tracks of running impala here, so something made them afraid. Tristan did say he heard them alarming over here, and we'll have the great Herbert Causer out on bushwalk soon. With any luck, he and his tremendous tracking skills will be able to bring some sort of skill to bear on the situation that currently is frustrating me. We are live, of course, on Masai Mara as well today, and they will eventually get their act together and be live as well. For the moment, you're stuck with just me, and that's just how it's going to have to be. I'm sorry about it, but I'll do my best to keep you entertained with cheery conversation and maybe even an animal. It'd be nice. Imagine that, David. Imagine we have an animal. It would be just spectacular. David, today with his very fancy T1K FLIR thermal camera, has managed to find the following. In no particular order, in fact in chronological order: 1 baby duiker, 1 adult duiker, 3 franklins. That's the end of the list. So he is not in my good books at the moment. Perhaps he shall return there shortly by finding or sign of the male leopard somewhere around here. We're quite close to the dam, Djuma Dam. I see that I'm almost unplugged. Faith, if you were talking to me, I did not hear what you have said. If you were not talking to me, ignore what I've just said. Link to the what? The thump. Pump. Oh, I see. I'm sorry. We're going to go down for a second, everybody. We're going to link to the logo. Bye-bye. I do apologize for that technical glitch. I'm not sure what happened or why it happened. It's beyond the capabilities of my small brain to figure it out. But here we are back again. I'm not sure how much of what I said earlier you got. It was probably just slightly robotic. We have come down to the Djuma Pan now and failed to find anything there either. So now we're going to head a little bit further to the south. See if we don't pick up some twacks there. No twacks of leopards so far. Hang on a second. I thought I heard the alarm call of the grey go-away bird saying, "Go away, go away, go away." But it was in my head. David, look at that. It's a ring-necked dove. Good heavens, our cup runneth over. There we are, everybody, Cape Turtle doves on the march, feathers ruffled, so cold it's been. Apparently it's 15 degrees Celsius here. It feels a little colder than that, and those doves are testament to my estimate of the temperature. I don't know if we're now going to be fully live or not. I hope we are. Many technical difficulties this morning. I don't know if you've actually seen me say hello to you. Hello again if you have not. Welcome to the Sunrise Safari for the fifth time. I'm not sure how many times we've welcomed you today. I hope you're all well. My name is James Henry. David is on camera, and you may talk to us using the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter, otherwise the chat stream on YouTube. There we go. Good. We are attempting to find whatever was causing some consternation with some impala around here a little bit earlier. Tristan was looking at it with the drone, failed to identify it exactly. And as I said to some of you earlier, David, with his this very fancy FLIR thermal equipment has failed thus far to find anything other than one small diker, a slightly larger diker, and two crested franklins. Sorry, three crested franklins. Let's not underscore poor old David. It is a blustery morning, and so most things are going to be hiding underneath the bushes. Pisces Bobby, you say your patience is on, is that correct? Well, Pisces Bobby, you may need your patience with all the gremlins this morning. Patience pants. You've got patience pants. I wonder if I should get some patience pants. I'm not a very patient person, Pisces Bobby, so I think I'm going to get some patience pants. Can you tell me where you might purchase a pair of patience pants? Hopefully find you a heartbeat sometime soon. As I said earlier as well, we are not alone out here. Well, at the moment we are alone. The Marcy Mara should be live at some stage. And they take a little while to get going in the mornings. They normally have to reboot themselves, change all the tyres, lie down for a while after that, and then get up again and reboot everything further. You know, that's just how it works. Yeah, yes, it could have. Steph, when was the hyena on the dam cam is the question. We had leopard there at 12:19 yesterday evening. That definitely wasn't what caused the consternation this morning, although it could have been the same leopard around where we are now. But hyenas would definitely make impala upset. We are still alone out here. Bushwalk will be out shortly as well. Who's on Bushwalk today? I forget. Ah, look at that, David. I've found us two species in one go. In one fell swoop. Remember fell, David, fell swoop. I have outdone you with my eyes. Behold, zebra. The first large animal that we've seen today, weighing it friendly 350 kilograms. That's pretty large in my book. For a long time they weren't here, you know. The zebras have seemed to have returned recently, from where I couldn't tell you. But it's very nice to have them. They're being followed by a little flock of fork-tailed drongos, and of course shadowed, shall we say, by some impalas. Very pleasant natural sounds there. Well, thank you, Kelly. You say zebras, well done. Well, thanks. A couple of franklins calling, the drongos, a few starlings. This is a very confiding zebra. Yes, I agree with you, Arla Aramoa. I think they are beautiful. I think I enjoy them because they are, well, I suppose they remind me of horses, really. I quite like horses. But I like them in their own right as well. Now, look how they're moving. This is quite interesting. I've hit a stick, otherwise I'd turn around further. Now, the traditional movement for zebras, of course, is the oldest female in front, stallion at the back, and everyone else in the middle. And that is what we have. Except there was a young stallion at the back here. He's obviously about to be tossed out of the herd. But at the very back, there is the oldest stallion. Marvellous. Good. That was our zebra sighting. Let us continue. Carol, they're not really family herds, no. They're harems. I suppose you might describe that as a family of sorts. yeah, could be described as a family. With a male, his wives, probably 2 or 3, sometimes up to 4, and their attendant offspring. And that's basically how they walk. They're not always like that, though. Sometimes the males, in fact, very often the males, if they are not old enough yet to fight for a female, will have, well, they'll form little bachelor groups. Most mammals, actually, that I know of, most large mammals will do exactly that. Before the males are ready to take a territory of their own or take a harem of their own, they'll form a little bachelor group. Elephants do it, all of the antelope do it, except, of course, the solitary antelope. But there are a lot of mammals that do it. Even human beings do it, don't they, David? You know, bachelor groups. David's just staring at me now. He's got that sort of glazed look in his eye that tells me he's known me for too long to find me vaguely amusing anymore. It's a bit sad, really. You've become so familiar with somebody. While I wallow in the depths of my own depression, I'm going to send you across to Sydney with a much more cheerful sight.
A very, very good morning and welcome to the beginning of our guided walk. It is indeed quite a very lovely morning. You can see the sun is coming out. Although we have got some clouds, it's overcast at the moment. That is the only little bit of space we can see from where we are, where we can see the sun. This morning, I am going to be taking you on a very interesting guided walk, despite the fact that the wind is blowing too much. And when the wind is too much, it's very much difficult to identify and to age the tracks. My name is Sydney, and I am not traveling alone this morning. I am traveling with Senzo, who is my camera operator. My plan this morning is quite very easy. I'll be looking for some of the cats. I'll be looking specifically for Hosana, as he has been spotted earlier on somewhere by the pen. So I will try by all means and get hold of his tracks and see if you can find him. But here where I am, I do have some of the evidences of some of the activities which took place last night. Looking here, I can see that a lot of fresh branches and fresh leaves, they're just everywhere. This is showing me that the elephant has been here. There's even quite a lot of fresh elephant tracks here, which means we are going to hit 2 birds with 1 stone. While looking for Hosana, we might be lucky and see some elephants. They were feeding on this tree last night, so it was quite a lot of them. But if you can check, Senzo, come here. If you can check here, I do have some of the markings. If you look at these markings, you can see that the wind has been blowing a lot. When the wind is blowing too much, it's very much difficult to be able to age these tracks. This is unbelievable. It's unlike it's something for last night. This, to me, is like it happened here some time ago, before last night. But let me tell you something. This elephant has been here last night. So I will be going towards the pen where I'm hoping to begin my trekking this morning. Murphy, thank you very much for such a very encouraging comment, wishing me good luck to find the little chief Hosana. I am going to do that this morning. Hopefully, I'll find him. Yesterday, I did look for him on my morning game drive, and it was a little bit difficult. So this morning, I am hoping to see Hosana. So now, let's go to Africa. Let's go to Masai Mara, where David is at the moment, and see what David is having this morning.
Hello, a very good morning, everyone, and nice to be here again with me. My name is David, and filming with me today is James. Good morning, James. Very nice to have you this morning in the Mara Triangle. Remember, very important, your questions make a lot of sense to us. As usual, hashtag SafariLive, and you can follow us on YouTube mainstream, and you keep us engaged, sending your comments also to us. My plans today are to look for the lions that we saw yesterday. They were very flat, they didn't do much, and hopefully today they might be going for someone for breakfast. It was a big pride of 9. We saw 4 in one side and 5 on the other side. So my plan is to see if we might get the same pride, which we call the Olololo pride. And if you're lucky to see them today, it will be a good day for all of us. Let's head out and see how things fit. James, are you ready for the day? All right, James says he's ready. So let's all go and see how our luck looks like. Temperatures very good, weather looks very comfortable. I'm feeling full of spirit to see lots of animals this morning. I just want to concentrate this morning with the lions, and more so the Olololo pride. As we finished the game rep yesterday, we were very lucky to see the Triangle boys. Kelly, how are you? And your question is, how is the wind today? This time of the day, the wind is quiet. It's very calm. The wind, Kelly, normally picks up around 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon. And yesterday we had so much wind, Kelly, we thought it might even rain. But luckily it did not rain. So at the moment, until about 1-2 o'clock, everything is beautiful. Wind, temperatures, the lights, everything. For now, we have the perfect weather to get lots of good stuff. So no worries of wind at this point. And every time I'm around where I am, I just want to allow one vehicle behind me to pass. And I want to show you the beauty of the Mara. Sorry, so much dust. Am you ready to show the elephant?
Yes.
How many?
20.
Maybe 20. If you pan just that beauty of the valley of the escarpment, James, I'll be very happy. And just look at that beauty away from the cars, and look at that escarpment there. This savannah. And this is the area we always see the Olololo pride roaming around. This is magical. Thank you very much, James. Now let's head out and see if you'll be.
Sorry about that, everybody. You lost David's picture. Not sure what happened there. Well, it is the Masai Mara, of course. We'll make sure that they're all flogged before they're allowed to eat today. And that will hopefully solve any problems that we have there. Some interestingly kind words coming through about the state of depression I found myself in. I just want to read you one. I'm not going to read it to you. One of them stating I must be depressed because I am unmarried. No, I don't. I don't think that's the. I don't think that's the case. But I don't think I'm really depressed. I think I'm relatively quite pleased, actually. All right, we did find some tracks of Hosana. We're going to follow up on those. We're going to send you now back up to the Masai Mara for the pre-breakfast flogging. This time it is with Taylor.
Good morning from the Mara. Well, for the second time, look at what we've got. It is not Charging Charlie, the angriest hippo in the whole wide world, but another one who's just very calm at the moment, having some breakfast, or perhaps a midnight snack. I don't know. My name is Taylor McCurdy, and I'm so thrilled to have you again join us on the safari from Kenya. And then you can guess he's on camera with me. Do you think you could identify him just by his thumb? Of course, Archie is on camera with me. We're going to be out the whole day, hopefully finding all sorts of wonderful things. But we've actually got a very nice scene out here today. It is nice to see the hippos out of the water. Obviously, in South Africa, we're lucky now in the winter months that we're able to see the hippos out sunbathing. But we do see them crossing the big wide open plains here quite a bit in the Mara. And then, of course, a topee, because it wouldn't be the Mara without one topee staring off into the grass somewhere. Every time I see one of them, I stop thinking, what is that topee looking at? What are you looking at? And then normally it's nothing. Probably just looking at some other topee in the distance. What else has Archie found? He's spotting all the animals for me. Is that a Thompson's gazelle I see there? Yes, it is. It looks like a female with a rather large belly. And there are a couple of little Thompson's gazelle around at the moment too, so we'll keep an eye out for them. We could get some interesting sightings too with the jackals that are around. There are plenty of them trying to snatch up those youngsters. So we'll keep watching. What's our hippo doing? Still probably eating, hey? A little bit late back to the Mara River, but not too far away. Only about less than a mile, maybe about 3/4 of a mile away from the river. So just taking it easy. It's not too hot yet either. Kaylee, you know, it's just like we're in sync today because, well, I suppose I just answered your question. It's basically just to the east of us. So from where this hippo is, it'll walk towards us. And like I said, about 3/4 of a mile away is the Great Mara River. But there's quite a few little drainage lines too. Although I don't think that a hippo of that size, it looks healthy and fit, I reckon, that'll probably be living in the main channels with some other hippos. So they'll be around, and that's something that I do want to try and achieve this morning, is I want to head to cul-de-sac, because that's where we started yesterday afternoon, sunset safari, and we had some crocodiles. And there was a crocodile that was holding on to a wildebeest. So I want to drive there and have a look and see if they've eaten it yet. Or maybe they were saving it for breakfast. Like I said, they've been eating fairly regularly over the last couple of weeks. And that's also, I suppose, a classic scene that you've got there, hey? Topee, tree, one of the Balanites trees, and an animal. It's very pretty out here, of course. But we're probably going to start driving now because, like I said, there's some cars gathering. I can't see from where I am. There might be some animals gathering at one of the crossings at cul-de-sac. So hopefully we will be able to do that. We're going to do that. Now, we've got a hippo in the grass, sort of hiding away, but not really. It seems as though Sydney's got something lurking in the bushes.
I am right now looking here to try and find something I am going to share with you this morning. Small animals still very hiding. Maybe it's because of the temperature at the moment. Oh, I've got something here, Senzo. I have got one of the interesting plants. There's two of them. Let me just sniff if it's still very strong. This plant is called wild anise. Wild anise, you can use it to treat flu, but you can use it in different form. So today I'm going to show you what you can do with this plant. So this plant, you must have to come and take this when it's fresh. When the plant is fresh, you will see the leaves are green. Look at this one here. Sense if you can. You see this one is now starting to dry. The leaves are completely green. So you take this plus a lemon, and then you take a clay pot. You put this plant in the clay pot. If there are some of the eucalyptus as well, you can take the leaves and you mix. Then you're going to have to take some of the clay, and you must come to that clay pot. You seal it. You seal the cap to make sure that when this plant is boiling, no evaporation is going to take place. When this plant is boiling is when it's mixing some of the fluid from the plant leaves, and all are going to mix together with the eucalyptus and the lemons. And after that, we take it and we take a blanket and cover ourselves and open the cap so that you can inhale that kind of some hot warm there. When inhaling that is when it's going to open your chest and you're going to sweat, and that is going to chase the flu. That is how traditionally we are treating flu in some of the areas here in Africa. Specifically, where I come from, you will see these are the plants when we are cutting, when we are cleaning the bushes, cleaning homes. If there is any of the wild anise, we don't cut it because we know that it is medicinal and it will help us, as flu is some of the normal kind of problems. So now I am going to carry on and see if we can find any other interesting things here, but I'll be looking. So now let's go to Africa again. Jamie has got something interesting. Not too sure what she's got at the moment. Let's see now what they have on the other side.
Good morning and welcome back to the vibrant, beautiful, golden Masai Mara first thing in the morning, where we have one and one only very sleepy little hyena cub. I wonder where the rest are hiding. The chilly start, I know it's not nearly as cold as it is on Juba at the moment, but it's still pretty chilly in the Mara and the wind hasn't stopped blowing. But a good morning to all of you. Don't forget #SafariLive on Twitter is how you can get hold of us. My name is Jamie. This morning Manu is on camera with me. And we are sitting with, I think it's Tip. In fact, I'm almost 100% certain it's Tip. She's lying on her side, so it makes life a little bit difficult. But it does give us an opportunity for our newer viewers to learn a little bit about spotted hyenas, because I have spent the last 4 months with them, is Tip. That corner out of her left ear, or that little triangle out of her left ear, those 2 notches, 3 notches, you can see there's some fresh-ish blood around there. That was done by one of the other high-ranking cubs. That was done by either Lobster or Chow. For some reason they decided, remember that spotted hyenas live in a very strict hierarchy, for some reason they decided that Tip offended them somehow, and they laid into her and they took a little piece out of her ear, which is the slightly darker side of the hyena hierarchy system, is that lower ranking cubs often get bullied. And Tip's not even that low ranking. Hey girl. Oh, Ravinda, you want to know if there are any hyenas named after truffles in the Mara. It is entirely possible that there are. I don't know I don't have all the names of all of the hyenas that are researched. So to give you a bit of background into that for those of you that don't know, these hyenas are studied by the Michigan State University Mara Hyena Project. It is one of the longest running predator projects in the world and has been going for 30 years on the other side of the river and 10 years here in the Triangle. Yes, we're talking about you. Yes, we are. And they are given names based on themes. So each mother, her cubs are named based on a theme. Tip is actually short for this is Patrick, who is naturally female, as these things go. At least we believe her to be female. Very distinctive face. Thin face with big ears. And her ears often flop down. She looks a little bit like a Harry Potter house elf. So there could easily be hyenas named after truffles. I can try and find out for you if you want. There's all sorts of interesting themes. Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter. There's lots of different references out there. Kelly, you want to know how old this pup is? Technically, we refer to them as cubs. It's really a...
Are we live? I'm sorry, everybody. My pin keeps jumping out here. Let me try and remedy that problem. Stick it in properly. Stop pulling it. We've got an elephant here. That's why we're blundering about off-road. I'm just trying to get into a decent position. The young bull elephant seems to be all on his own. Yeah, I didn't say any swear words there, wasn't it, David? Not that I ever swear, normally. Sorry, elephant, we don't mean to make so much noise, but it's really difficult to avoid at times. There we go. A very pleasant little bull elephant. Very restful here. A little bit of sun shining on him, so you get a bit of golden grey colour. But otherwise, things are a bit dull from a light point of view out here. Daniel, thank you very much. You say you're very happy and that you wanted us to find an elephant. Well, here we are with an elephant. And he's all on his own. I imagine that there must be a herd somewhere relatively close by. He's not an old elephant at all, he's a young bull. And so probably just been tossed out of the herd. Just been told that he needs to go and find his own way in the world. Yeah, he's just trying to smell us. He's trying to pick up exactly what cologne David has put on this morning. And eating his twigs, of course. And if you listen carefully, you'll be able to probably just hear the cracking of the branches. Bit of wind. And the very subtle whistle of a fork-tailed drongo. Well, that's all. Things very quiet otherwise. There is the drongo. Just going. Now he's probably just about old enough to have been tossed out of a herd, but like I say, I'm sure he's not far away from one. He may have just been a bit naughty. The matriarchs tossed him out. Yeah, I can hear them now. I can hear a herd further off towards the northern side of where we're sitting. Probably just around there. Just hear the odd breaking of sticks and branches. MGN, interesting one about cold and elephants. I imagine they must get to a certain extent, they must get a little bit cold in the winters, in the same way that in summer they must get a little bit hot. But the question you need to ask yourself really is, why don't they have any hair? Why would an animal that has to live through a winter not have any hair? And what you'll find, MGN, is that the bigger the animal is out here, the less hair it generally has. So the biggest animal, of course, is an elephant. Yeah, I can hear some others now. And they have no hair at all. Well, they do have a little bit on their... They've got fuzz on their foreheads when they're born. They've got hair on their tails. And all mammals have hair, of course. But they don't retain a pelage or sort of coat of fur. Now, the reason for that in this climate is that the bigger you are, the more slowly you gain heat and the more slowly you lose heat. In other words, the bigger you are, the less likely you are to get cold. The less likely it is that your core body temperature will drop on a cold evening. And let's go to the vlieg now, and there you can see how warm he is. And so although he is radiating heat, because he's so big, he's not losing a huge amount of core body temperature. And so if he was to have a coat, say, like that of the woolly mammoth, well, then what would happen is that he'd overheat. And so, yes, of course he does feel cold. If he didn't feel cold, then his body would not produce metabolic heat to overcome that cold, and he wouldn't be able to maintain the optimum body temperature. That's the whole purpose of feeling cold. But at the same time, he probably doesn't feel too dreadfully freezing. He's chasing the drongo now, for some reason. I'm not sure why he's doing that. So he heard the herd a little bit further over this ridge crest here, and obviously they said something he didn't like very much. Shall we move slightly, David? And so the other interesting thing about that MGN, of course, is that the smaller you are, the more quickly you will lose heat. And so you will very seldom find a naked gerbil. You will find a naked mole rat, but they live under the ground where it's insulated. So something like a gerbil or a rat is going to lose heat much more quickly than an elephant, and that's why you will never find them naked in this environment. Oh, he's getting very irritated with the birds. I think there is, Anna Marie, and I mean, I've never read this. This is purely speculation, but I think it's pretty good speculation, if I'll say so myself. The Indian elephant, of course, has a smaller ear, and the question is, well, I mean, interestingly, most animals have big ears in order to hear. I don't think that's necessarily the case with elephants, although it probably does play some role. An elephant's ear, an African elephant's ear, is largely used as a cooling device. And so in the summertime, when it's very hot, they pump all the blood through the ears, fan the ears up and down, and that cools the blood that goes to the brain. Now, while it gets beastly hot in India, I've been there, and I mean, it gets at least as hot as it gets here. I think you'll find that most of those Asian elephants live in forested areas. I think that's their more common habitat, and you'll find therefore that they can be in the shade much more than the African elephant can. They also do not have to move as much and consume as much food. Now that's very interesting, and I think the reason most likely for that is that the Asiatic elephant lives on a continent that is much more nutrient dense and much more filled with nutrients than does the African elephant. Africa in general has very poor nutrient soils or nutrient deficient soils, and so that makes the vegetation here that much less nutrient dense than a lot of Asia's vegetation, and therefore these African elephants have to eat a lot more, and so they'll have to be out moving in the sun a whole lot more, and therefore they will generate more heat, and therefore they need a mechanism by which to get rid of that heat. So that's very interesting. And of course they discovered that, or one of the reasons they discovered that was when they tried on the odd occasion to use African elephants for work, like they do Indian elephants or Asiatic elephants, and they're not very good. Apart from the obvious ethical issues of it, they're not very good at work because they have to eat for so much longer per day than an Asiatic elephant does. And that's purely a function of what they eat, and the fact that they have to eat foods that are much less nutrient dense. No, Mr. Q-Tip, you know, these African and Asian elephants are a completely different genus. They're not even in the same genus, so they're less closely related than kudu and nyala, for example, or kudu and bushbuck, or kudu and eland, or lions and tigers, which can interbreed. These guys belong to the genus Loxodonta. They could interbreed with the forest elephant, Loxodonta cycloides, which is considered by many to be the same species. But the Asiatic elephant, it belongs to the genus Elephas, or Elephas, I don't remember exactly. And no, they could not interbreed. So the same family, but different genus. He sort of thinks he might like us, but he sort of thinks that the herd might be moving away. Look at those wonderful eyes. And let's have a last look at the drongos before we head you up to David Gatamba Githu, who has got something interesting to tell you, I'm sure. It will be amazing. So amazing.
Well, coming from big animals, big herbivores like the elephant, to small ones here, the cats, we finally got to our lions, and my apologies about the gremlins I had before, but these things will happen once in a while. We got all of pride now here. We can see 2 of the 9 that you had yesterday, and the one on the right of the screen is a male youngster, and the one on the left is a female. And from what I saw from the setup of the other 7, they look like they're trying to hatch a plan of hunting much later in the day. If they're lucky now, I can't see very good, James. So the other 7 are just where you see them there. They're blending in very well in the grass. There's a third one there. And I'm not sure it was Daniel or Kelly who was asking about the wind earlier in the day, or like 15-20 minutes ago. And you can see the wind is picking up, which is quite unusual for now. Big yawn, but nothing compared to the wind we see around 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It's just a nice cool breeze. Well done, James. So the other 6 of the 9, yes, that could be the 4th one. Very good, James. They've all been spread out, and Faith in the Final Control is enjoying all this. And remember, your comments make us happy. Any questions you have, please keep tweeting #SafariLive, and we'll be happy to answer your questions. Yes, that's the 5th one there. James, you got very good eyes today, eh? Apparently, James also spotted 2 of the males of the Triangle Boys yesterday. So now James has gotten 5 of the 9. Lily, how are you today? And you are asking because the migration is back. Would lions come into contact, or different prides come into contact and have fights? I would say, Lily, no, because what will happen, Lily, the lions now will have lots of food with them, and for that reason they'll have, they'll have no reason to fight. So far, I would say once we get the whole migration here, lions will have no issues. In general, lions fight for 2 reasons. Number 1, if it's the males fighting, Lily, they'll always fight for breeding rights. But if you get the females fighting, which have cubs, they're fighting for food. And that will happen when there is shortage of food. But with the migration, which is like loads of wildebeest, we have thousands of them, they'll have no reason to fight because everybody will be happy. Everybody will be having enough to eat. Let's go back to our lions and see which ones you're able to spot now, Lily. And James might be showing us any 2, any 3. Sorry about the vehicles that are on the way.
Well, there goes the need for another flogging in the Masai Mara. We will make sure that the whips are brought out very shortly. Now, as I said to you, I heard elephants in the distance, and there's the rest of the herd emerging like grey ships through the grey vegetation. Can you see them, David? Yes, you can. Very pretty. And our little fellow here, who I would age at around about 15 years, is being tremendously friendly. He's come a little bit closer. Treed, the process of tossing an elephant out of a herd is known as tossing an elephant out of the herd. There's no real official term for it. It's basically just what happens is the matriarch gets sick and tired of an adolescent male as the hormones of adolescence start coursing through his body, mainly testosterone. He becomes aggressive. He becomes, well, quite amorous with some of the ladies, and he becomes irritating to have around. It's exactly like having an 18-year-old boy around a quiet family situation. You know, eventually the fellow needs to get out and go and do what young men need to do. So they need to be around other young men and, you know, go and be away from the family for a little while. And then when they grow up, they'll have families of their own or spend a bit more time with the original family. But when they get to around about this age, the matriarch gets sick and tired of them, and she will basically not tolerate them around the herd. He would probably be back into the herd at some stage. He's not quite old enough to be on his own, but then he'll start bullying the little ones, and he'll start sort of making lewd remarks at the young ladies, and he'll probably start bashing other elephants his own age, and the matriarch will become irritated, slap him with her trunk and push him out. And he'll then have to sit on the fringes of the herd, and eventually that will become a permanent arrangement. He'll go off on his own. He'll most likely join up with other males of a similar age, and then when they're probably about 25, they'll go off almost in a solitary life. They may join up from time to time with other males, and sometimes with younger males. And it's only from about 25 years old that they have their first full proper must. And that first full proper must will last round about, probably about a month, between a week and a month, for the first 10 years or so. And then after they're 35 years old, that's when the real breeding time is able to happen, when they're big enough and strong enough to compete for breeding opportunities, and their must can last even longer, and that's of course their really heightened testosterone time. I do find, I know many of you finding it relatively amusing, chatting about the way he behaves in the herd. I find the parallels with male elephants and male human beings really quite fun, because it happens around about the same age. Human males normally, for those of us who are normal, start puberty around about sort of 12 years old. In my case, I was about 24, not quite that late. And in most males will start around 12, and they start getting those sort of, they're a little bit bolshy, they start to wrestle with each other, and they get that rather unattractive wispy line of hair on their top lips, that sort of thing. They get a bit spotty and they get a bit lanky. And eventually, by the time they're 17 or 18, they're almost men, but not quite. And that's when they need to go off and sort of become men. And elephants are exactly the same. They don't get the acne, though, which is quite lucky for them. They also don't get the unattractive wispy moustache. David, did you have an unattractive wispy moustache? You did. I did too. I also had a wispy moustache, and then it was replaced as the hair on my head disappeared. It was very sad. While I contemplate that sadness, let's go across to Sydney, who's never sad.
I am now heading towards the Galago Pen area as we managed to reallocate the tracks, but not too sure if these tracks are for Hosana or Tingana. Still trying to confirm. It's just that this morning the tracks are not looking very much fresh, but we are following. Hebi is leading us there now as we are talking, so I will be going to the Galago Pen area and see. Maybe that is where we are going to be lucky with one of these cats. So we keep following the tracks now. There has been quite a lot of movement here, as also some zebras are showing running away on the ground. Impalas are showing running away on the ground. So not too sure exactly what was happening here earlier on before we have started with this guided walk this morning. Anna-Marie, I didn't copy that question very nicely. If you can repeat it again. Cough medicine, yes. What we do normally is we take the seeds such as the following. Let me show you now. I've got the seeds here, but these seeds are not coming from this. This is the tamboti tree. They've just been blown here. So this is one of the seeds we are using in order to make tea, in order to relieve the chest complaints. So when you are having coughing problems, then you drink this. This is going to help you on that. So together with one of the other combretum, this part of the combretum is called the combretum hereronce. together with the Combretum Zayeri. If you take the seed pod, let me just open and see how the seed pod looks like. This is very much hard. This seed pod is very much protected. Yes, I've got the seed pod. Let's see. So this is the seed pod you must have to make tea from and drink in order to relieve the chest complaints, and which will also relieve you when it comes to coughs, when having flus and other problems. So lucky to see this. The squirrels, they like to open and eat. Even some of the birds, they open and eat this is inside there. Senzo, I'm seeing something here. Let's come down a little bit. I want to be sure of something. I have got something on the ground here, and it's showing some white. Let me just check here. Try to open and check. Yeah, this is a bed dropping. You know, the bed droppings can be very much dangerous. We don't only have to avoid the droppings from the carnivores. The bed droppings also spread some of the diseases, the candidal diseases, and some which can also affect the respiratory systems. So these kind of beds droppings, they grow some fungus. And then those fungus, if you inhale the dust from these droppings, or if you eat this, you are going to have those kind of candidal diseases. So we must have to, by all means, avoid bed droppings, because otherwise we are going to experience the respiratory system. And when I grow up, we used to do something with the bed droppings. You know, as we were kids, we used to fight a lot. And when one of us is crying, if there is any bite as a result of fighting, if I bite someone where there is tooth marks like this, where you see these tooth marks, this is what we used to do. We used to go and take the droppings from the beds, and then we have to apply it there. And by applying this, it's like, okay, this bite is fine, but whoever did this is going to rot the tooth. So we used to take this and put it here. The belief is that on that bite, if you put the droppings from the beds, then it means whoever did this, the tooth are going to get rotten. And we used to see that it does work. Senzo is laughing. So Senzo, he comes from KZN, is KwaZulu-Natal. He's from a completely different tribe, which is somewhere in KwaZulu-Natal. He speaks Zulu, I speak Venda. But we do have more or less same kind of traditional beliefs, me and him. Some of them are not the same. So now I've got to track. So now let's go to Mara. Jamie has got some zebra there. Let's see, maybe something interesting is taking place there in Mara as we are talking.
And we're back. We're sorry about the gremlins that appear to be affecting the Mara this morning. But it's okay. We're back up and running, and we've got Sour and Sloth Bear, who have just emerged out of, I have absolutely no idea where. Somewhere in the grass. My goodness, Sal. Did you have a good breakfast? Or dinner? Look at you. And this is especially for Faith as well, because of course Faith was with us when little Sloth Bear made his appearance into the world. How big he's got? Big and full of attitude. No, your mum's going that way. Oh, down into the lugger. They love the slugger. I don't love the slugger. I love that they love the slugger, but it does make my life very difficult. Oh, there's someone else in there. The gang's all here. It was just a matter of searching for them. We were always going to find them. We've got the rest of them across this deep river system. That's what I'm saying when I say lugger. I don't know who we've got here. Somebody sleepy. That looks like it might be Waffles' boy. No, that I don't know. That's a fluff ball. My Marta, yes, absolutely. So Marta's question is if perhaps Sawa were to become the new clan leader, if she were to rise up and overthrow Waffles, would Sloth Bear then be high ranking? And yes, his rank would move up automatically with hers. So hyenas are somewhat nepotistic in the way that they do things. Not somewhat, they're very nepotistic in the way that they do things. So family means everything. They do have friends, so they do form connections with unrelated hyena, but family is really the most important thing. So yes, Sloth Bear would rise up, and as her youngest son, he would actually be the second highest ranking member of the clan if she were to take over. I think. I mean, look, you can't ever give a definitive answer, but that's roughly how it would work. However, Sawa shows absolutely no sign of any aggression. She doesn't seem to like the royal family. That's not Sawa. That looks like Billy Jean. Andrew, how common are hyenas in the Mara? Exceptionally common. So the clans here are quite large. You're looking at around about between 40 to 80 individuals. North Clan is nearly 80 individuals, possibly even more. You never know. But they tend to be quite large clans when compared to the ones in South Africa. And yes, they're incredibly numerous. So this is just one clan of over 80 individuals. There's probably at least 6 or 7 clans that call the Mara Triangle home. So, you know, you're looking at potentially close to 600 hyenas. How beautiful is this? Migration is sort of here, hasn't quite reached North Clan's territory. The zebra have come through, much to the delight of North Clan, I have to tell you. It looks like Paisley's mum. Of course, that 2 might not would be away. She'll pop up, though. Waffles is fine, by the way. She is fast asleep, tending to her duty, hidden away from the world, and unfortunately impossible for us to see. So we're giving her a little bit of room to do her thing. It's absolutely fine. Okay. Of course, we all get attached to different animals, different prides. We spend a lot of time with them. But the very first pride of lions that I ever saw in the Mara was the Olololos. I'll tell you why I'm so tired later in the drive. The Olololos. Let's go across to David with the Olololos.
From one predator to another predator, and I think these lions, as I said earlier, they are on a mission. That's the youngster I was talking about. There's a young male there moving, and on his left is a female there. But they are seeing something that me and James cannot see. And what they're trying to do now is to lay an ambush. You know how they have one lioness, for example, the lead or the pathfinder here in this pride, moving forward and trying to ring around the prey, and then pushes the prey towards the main pride. That's exactly what I guess they're doing. But what is interesting is that me and James cannot see what they're seeing. And my only guess, or our only guess, unless it is a warthog, and the count came from 9 to 10, so in total here we got 10 lions, and I do not know how much, or one warthog will do to such a big pride of 10 lions. But you can tell some attention. We can't see what they're seeing themselves. If you look at that particular one there, it's focused in a particular direction, and all the other 9 are. But what I'm wondering is what they're seeing. But cats, we have always noticed many times they'll see things we don't see, and the next thing we just see a run, and they just poke something out of the grass. Or it could be something lying down, who knows? James, your question is how many successful hunts maybe I have witnessed or seen. I would say, unfortunately, lions are not very successful. When you consider all the predators like Jamie, who was having hyenas, I would say hyenas are more successful. than lions, and I would give success of the lions to about 30%. But if I remember from the last 10 hunts I have seen or so of lions, James, I would say out of the 10, only 2 were truly successful. One time they brought down a topi, and the other one was big because they brought down a giraffe, and a fully grown giraffe. It must have been an old giraffe, could have been limping, or something might have gone wrong with one of his foot or sprained one of his ankles. And lions have been known to be very intelligent. They can look and watch an animal walking, and once they notice an animal have an unusual walk or it's limping or something's wrong, they'll always zero in and focus on it. So I'd say, James, those are the only successful hunts I've seen, and lions are not as good. So 2 out of 10 I saw that were totally successful to the end. They laid the ambush, brought the prey down, and worked on it. Now this is the one that I think is the lead female, and she is like in charge of the whole pride. Blowbomb, that's a very good question. Which pride is my favorite? We have a couple of prides here. This particular one we are watching is called the Olololo pride. We have another one that's called the Marsh Breakaway. We got another one that's called the Owinos. And we got another one that is called the Bogoro. I would say the Olololo, this particular pride, is my favorite because they are always very successful and they do a very good job. Not because they're many, the others are not as many as this one here. Do you want to go on top of that termite mount? Yes. Look at her. How she's crouching, what a position she got. I would still say Olololo is my favorite one. The number, how they mingle with each other, how they interact, and just faith in the final control says that's very beautiful, and what a position to put herself into. One that gives it a better a vantage point to see prey or what they're looking for, and she's basically now scanning, and once she identifies the prey, she'll pass the message to the others and they'll decide on who to go for. So I would say all around pride, to me it's very good, and I've noticed them once in a while when the Triangle Boys, the coalition of males around here, when they'll come and they want to get some mating rights to the females first don't just give in. There's always a little standoff between the females of the Olololo pride and the coalition boys of the Triangle. We saw 2 yesterday, and we're also thinking maybe when we leave these lions here, if they don't go for a hunt, we might go look for our Triangle Boys again and find out what they could be doing. Now she's just turned her head to the left, James, if you go back to her, and she's been there for a couple of seconds. Turn back again, and that tells you she's definitely looking for something. Wind picking up. Hi girl, in what direction? What can you see that we can't see? Eurasian, how are you? And your question is, why are lions less successful than other predators? That's a very good question. I would say, I wouldn't want to say their planning is not as good, but I got a feeling they don't do it very well, and before they execute their run, it's always either too late and they're easily spotted. When you look at cheetahs are always very patient. When you look at leopards, they are always very, very patient. I would say lions, to me, they are always a little bit impatient. And just before they go and pounce and they give the chase, the distance sometimes is always too long and they can't keep the pace. So I would say they don't plan very well and they can't run as fast to get hold of the prey. But if they're looking at the big prey, for example, buffaloes or giraffes, I have noticed or seen them more successful on big prey than the small ones. See the amount of wind picking up now, which is rather unusual for this hour of the day. We really need to see these lions doing something. And as much as they are social, We are only having one now, which is deciding what to do. Alright, from Big Cats in the Mara, we'll go to South Africa and find out what Sydney got.
I have one of those very beautiful insects, the ants. Ants are always very much clean. I never saw a dirty ant. So these kind of insects, they are very much interesting. Why? Because all these insects you're seeing here, all these ants, none of them saw their fathers. So the ants, after mating, the father dies. So the females, what are you saying, Senzo?
If you can go through the screen.
If I can? I just didn't copy what Senzo was trying to show me. So I was saying the workers are responsible to bring food in order to feed the rest and the queen inside there. The workers are responsible to collect all the food in order to give the ants and the queen as well inside there. So the interesting part of the ants is that all these ants, they must have to attend to kind of a national event which is taking place once a year. It's called a National Flight Ant Day. Here is where all these ants, they triggered by the temperature and humidity. If temperature and humidity is enough, then you will see them flying. And they fly once a year. Those are the reproductives, those ones that are flying in order to go out there and reproduce. The females are very much clever because they can determine the strengths of the ones that must have to mate them through a flight exercise. Females, they give out a pheromone. And after giving off that pheromone, the males are going to sniff it and follow them, and they will accelerate the speed. When accelerating the speed is when then they are determining who is the best. Kalina, the ants, yes, some of the people are allergic to some of these insects. I agree with you on that, but I don't have a problem with the ants. I can let them to walk on my hand, and the problem is they bite. So ants, we used to eat them, but accidentally. We don't eat them where I come from. The thing is, they can follow some of the food, and then sometimes they go and they get stuck and they die just by the food where you must eat. And to take all of them completely is never easy. They are too small, especially if there is soup. If they go and dip right into the soup, it's difficult to get them out. So the taste of the termite is not that very bad. But when they are fresh like this, you will taste a kind of a vinegar. I didn't copy that question nicely, FC.
Who's the mother of the queen ant?
That is quite a very interesting question. The mother of the queen, it works like this. The queen got the babies, and from her own daughters, there is some of the genetic combination between the queen and the daughters. The daughters is the ones that then come for mating after the queen when the queen dies. So the mother of the queen is another queen. So the queen produces the other mates. So every time, that is how it works. So these insects are very much interesting because just some of these males, they die just shortly after copulation, after mating. And some, they even die when their copulatory organs are stuck right into the female. So these insects, how they do things is interesting because the females as well, the females, they catch the males to come for mating, and after that they are going to mate with some other males as well of the same species. They don't mate with one male and then that's it. They are going to also allow more others so that they can accumulate quite a lot of sperms in order to use during their lifetime. So now let's go to my other colleague and see what he's doing on the other side.
We're sitting here with a southern yellow-billed hornbill, and I think that the southern yellow-billed hornbill is eating possibly some ants similar to the ones that Sydney was talking about. It's a youngster who will still get a little bit taller than that. Naturally, now flown away. There are elephants very angry down into this block over here, and we did have some tracks of a leopard going that way, so maybe there is a leopard in there, but maybe they're just irritated elephants. It's not an area we can drive into, unfortunately, so we may just have to stay on the fringes and see what we can find. We can go a little bit forward from here, and let's just have a look, see if we can't see if the hornbill was eating ants or termites. I can see absolutely. You can hear the elephants. Let's just sit here for a second. I can't see anything that hornbill would have liked to eat. No ants, no termites. How very interesting. Now I wonder if we shouldn't turn around and go back down the road that we were travelling on, because it'll get us closer to where those elephants were. So let's turn around. There's definitely some great anger. It's either a bull in must who's harassing the herd, or they've seen a predator. Quite nice if they'd seen a predator. 78-point turn that is necessary in the Land Rover Defender. There we are. Hyena tracks. Let's carry on. On we go, David. Yee-haw. Yee-haw. It's not warming up substantially today, I must say. Anyway, in the meantime, let us head back to Gigi, David, Gatamba, Githumba, Githing, Githum, Githanga, Fengithu in the Masai Mara. He is sitting with the Ololola Pride in 3, 2, 1.
Find that the lioness is still in the same position, but we have noticed she is concentrating on the left side, the direction she is looking at there. And my conclusion is either she can see some warthog somewhere. We've got another one joining her there. Oops, just went down in the termite mound. And I would gather, apart from enjoying that vantage point of the termite mound, she is also getting some warmth. Imagining we've got thousands of termites under or inside that mound. We've got another one going to join her. Well done, James. I think they might be getting together, either, compare notes or decide what they're going to do. But as I said before, we cannot, or personally cannot see anything they're looking at. But we have noticed many times lions seeing, or predators seeing things we don't see, or prey we don't see. And whatever it is, I think it has a disadvantage, because if you look at the direction of the grass that it's blowing, the wind is from whatever prey towards the lions. Craig, how are you today? And you're asking, what is the most successful predator in hunting? I don't know. I would comfortably say hyenas. It depends on what you're looking at, or, the formula or the method of hunting. But if I look at hyenas, lions, cheetahs, and leopards, I would say the most successful predator would be the hyenas. The way they mob the animals, the angle or the approach they do, I would say the hyenas to me, and more so the spotted hyenas, are the most successful hunters. I hope, Craig, you're going to agree with me. From the Mara side, from what I've seen, of all the 4 predators I mentioned, or 5 of them, I think the spotted hyenas are very successful. We have seen lions, for example, bring down a prey, and as soon as the hyenas pick the scent of it, you'd see like 6 lions, for example, against 10 hyenas. They are no match, and the hyenas will just push them out and take over the prey. But if you compare putting like a prey in front of lions, hyenas, cheetahs, leopards, I would say hyenas always win. I'd say they plan better, and I think their numbers, and they're quite aggressive at the same time. What did you see, James, there? Kelly, how are you? And good to hear your name again. And you're asking, do lions use scent to pick up their prey? I would say more so eyesight than scent. More so eyesight. So they tend to look more, than using their scent. And if I would compare their two senses, scent and sight, they do better in seeing what they're looking for than what they can smell. Hyenas, I would say they use scent more than sight. Hyenas. And I would say I would compare the lions to the vultures in terms of sight. So Kelly would say lions use more sight than scent to pick up their prey. Because unless they see what they want, it could be very difficult for them just to smell something. Sometimes the freshness of the prey would make it a bit discreet for the lions to pick it up. That just went around that Tamarind Mound. Not sure it's trying to lay an ambush there, or she's going to move forward again. And all these lions are confusing me at the moment on exactly what they want to do and how they want to do it. That one is quite obvious where she is. And we do not know what they will do, what time, but most likely they will be doing something. And talking of more successful predators, let's find out which ones they are.
This has been a very odd development to this whole situation. I think this is Fuzzy in here. Get Fuzzy. Oh, not Fuzzy, sorry, talking nonsense. I think this might be Jude that's gone into the bushes after Sloth Bear and Sour. A little bit earlier, Sloth Bear took off from where we saw him and just went galloping along in this direction towards the den that he was born in, or at least that he grew up in, the communal den site. And his mother followed him, and they raced into these bushes. And I don't know why. I have absolutely no idea what's going on. It was just great excitement, and then, hello. This individual came in. I can't quite tell who it is because I just see bottom. And Sloth Bear's still in there. You can just see his ear there. And then I think Jude is in there as well. But it's got me completely flummoxed. I think they must have smelled something in there. Rosh! You want to know who Pocket Rocket is? This is Pocket Rocket. Well, no, that's Pocket Rocket's mum. And below Pocket Rocket's mum is Pocket Rocket, now officially known as Sloth Bear. So Pocket Rocket was when I nicknamed him Pocket Rocket before we had an official name for him. He's now been named as Sloth Bear. And my goodness how he's grown. He's occasionally affectionately called Slobber, but his official name is Sloth Bear. His mother's theme is types of bear. So Arctidus, Black Bear, Polar Bear, Teddy Bear, Gummy Bear, Corduroy, Paddington. Lots of different bears. Sal, what on earth was that all about? And why have you decided this is now where you want to hide? It's the least obliging place you could have gone. They really do flummox me sometimes. I'm at a loss for an explanation. Maritza, you want to know if there's any species of hyenas that are solitary. Not solitary, but spotted hyenas are definitely the most social of the different species. So they live in these large clans, whereas something like a something like a brown hyena will live in small family pairs. Sometimes you will see them on their own. The same goes for striped hyena and even aardwolf. You'll see them in pairs, but not... You never ever see big groups of them. And spotted hyena actually sit in a completely different genus to the striped hyena and the brown hyena. They sit in the crocuta. Sloth bear. I've just thought of the best pun. I need to use it for a caption. Putting the cute in crocuta. Hey, all the hyena puns. I'm just going to try go around this termite mound. See if we can maybe get... It's not a termite mound, it's a thicket actually. Let's see if we can get a better view. Lauren, there... Oh, we're up again. Lauren, it actually didn't take me long to learn their names at all. Because they're such interesting names, or such... It's not random, they're themed, but I found the names very easy to learn. So I think it probably only took me about a day or so to cement most of the names in my mind once I was given them. I would say it took me far longer to get to recognize the various individuals. There's certain ones that were easy from the beginning. Sal's always been an easy hyena. Which one is Sal? That one. Sal's always been an easy hyena to recognize. The ones with notches out of their ears, anything like that, distinctive. It's a very quick process to learn them. Some of the others have taken me much longer. And what I do is I sit and stare at the spots, patterns on their photos, compare it to our footage, test myself on our footage. This has all gone very wrong. I think we're going this way. And what I try and do is memorize 3 different places on the hyena, so that if one, let's say if I memorize spots on the bottom, then I will remember, and it's covered in mud, I'll remember what the shoulder looks like, if that makes sense. Okay, we're going to try and keep up with Sao and figure out what it is that's attracted her attention like this, apart from Sloth Bear running away. Let's go across to Taylor, see how the Mara's doing on this marvelous morning.
Well, I'm so glad that the hyenas came out to play today. We are sitting with some vultures, which is actually a typical thing to see at the moment on the banks of the Mara River. They're waiting. They are just waiting. You can see them. They're roosting up top here, and any crossings that would potentially happen during the day. We know that there are often a few fatalities, and there's some wildebeest back there. And if any of them wash up on the edge of the banks, well then, the vultures will be there to clean up. And it's amazing how all the vultures just arrive. It's almost like they're doing a little migration themselves. Not really, but they're just following, I suppose, the big herds of animals. They know that where there's large gatherings of animals, the chances of them finding something to eat is probably quite good. And then we also have some lions that are quite far away. We are in a non-off-roading zone. We have found a male lion and a female lion. Wonderful. It is not Scarface, however. I think it could be one of the other members of the Musketeer Coalition. Maybe you can all help me. Is it Moremi? I can't ever say that word properly. Hunter? Sikyo? I don't know, but it's far away and it's quite difficult to get a view. But whoever that lioness is on the right, well, she's definitely eaten recently. Look how her stomach has ballooned. Romit, yeah, sure, you have to be a little bit more specific. There are many different marsh points in the Mara, in the Masai Mara and in the Mara Triangle. And I don't exactly know in terms of square kilometers how big the different patches are. But there are lots of them. There's not just one marsh. But perhaps the marsh that you are talking about is the famous marsh from where the Marsh Pride used to live. And that's quite close to Musiara. That's the Musiara Marsh on the other side of the reserve. So from where our camp is on the Olololo Escarpment, all that marshy section that I spend most afternoons in with all the elephants, it's on the other side of that of the Mara River basically, and it's quite a large area. But like I said, there's plenty marshy sections within the, well, I suppose, this beautiful wilderness area. Hello, vultures. Now there's a combination of vultures between white-backed and Rupel's vultures that are sitting up in the tree. I didn't see any hooded vultures just yet, but there are lots of them. Now, if we... Archie, can we go a little bit further to the right? Because there's a whole lot that are just starting to fly. Can you see that? Look. There they all are. Oh, sorry, it might have been to your left. They're all getting ready to take off for the day. Yesterday we were sitting And we must have seen about, I don't know, 400 or 500 vultures, I kid you not, in the sky. It almost looked like they were, you know, a big flock of abdomen storks, which we typically do see, and they start to gather. And they were all searching for thermals, and that's exactly what. There's some hooded vultures. Some of them look like hooded vultures, the smaller ones. Now they're all going to look for those thermals, and they're going to find the perfect spot. And once you see one vulture that manages to get an upwind, you'll see they all start going into that same area, and it is really, really pretty to watch them just go up. But like I said, it was basically just a black cloud of vultures. There were a couple of marabou storks too, but majority of them. Look at this. And this is, like I said, this is just a handful in comparison to what we saw yesterday, sort of midday. Everyone starts to get active. It's very pretty, though. And, of course, vultures can soar at thousands and thousands of feet. It does make for easy flying, not having to flap your wings all the time and kind of just gliding with the winds. It's an energy-efficient way to fly. Because, yes, by flapping your wings, they are using all that pent-up energy that is in, you know, sort of the reserves. But we're going to sit here and wait pretty much, I think, the whole day, and hopefully these cats will do something exciting for us. But off we go to James, who's got apparently a mammal even bigger than a lion.
Yes, we did have a mammal even bigger than a lion, but we've left them. We've left the mammals that are even bigger than lions because Rexon of Vuyatela has managed to find the Nkuhuma Pride, not 3 minutes down the road from where we find ourselves now, so let us go there. I'm not sure how long we'll have because there will be a few people in that sighting fairly soon, so I would suggest you stay with us unless something utterly spectacular happens on one of the other feeds. May have been what those elephants were shouting at, stink of lion perhaps. I'm not sure though. Just around the next bend or so. I know many of you miss the Nkuhuma Pride dreadfully. We used to spend a lot more time with them, simply because, well, they used to be here a lot more when there were buffalo around. And these days, of course, sightings have been few and far between. Righty, coming up, some lions, hopefully 11 of them, 5 lionesses, 6 youngsters, including 1 young male. Do you see any lions here, David? Do shout, say, there are some lions when you see them, okay? Yes, there are some lions, is the way that we say there are some lions. Bend, up and down. Oh, David. There are some lions. Good, well done. Excellent. Your ability to learn is fantastic. Unparalleled. Now we may not, as I say, be able to stay here very long, but let's have a good look, or a quick look, and then we can depart and go elsewhere. Oh, there are 3 vehicles here suddenly. That's very strange. No, it's all right. Rexon is leaving. It's very kind of him. There we are. The entire carpet of the Nkuhuma. My goodness gracious me. Did not expect that. Let me just reverse slightly. Make it easier for my old pal David. There we go. How's that, David? Is that all right? You can see them, can you? Aubrey's just going to go past us. Aubrey has gone past us, and now we have the great carpet of the Nkuhuma. Isn't that a lovely sighting? That's fantastic. Just beautiful. They've spotted something that they're looking at. I'm not sure what it is. Well, much excitement from many of you. Apparently some congratulations too. Well, there's no congratulations required. All I had to do was listen to the radio, which, well, for some people is quite taxing, but I managed to do it okay. They look very sleepy, of course. Ah, now what we were going to show you, Sydney has now found on his feet.
I have got the largest land mammal, the elephant, as we are talking now, and you can see they are drinking here. They are very much stationary at the moment, but they are trying to investigate what is happening at the moment. This elephant came. Welcome to the beginning of the unscheduled broadcast. I am here now at Galago Pen, and these elephants are very much relaxed. I can see they are now having some drink. Elephants, they drink quite a lot of water a day. They can be able to drink up to 150 to 200 liters of water. So they have been very thirsty. I could see how they ran into the pen. They were coming at high speed, and now they are drinking, and it's like now they are about to finish drinking at the moment. Look at that. They are raising up their trunks in order to investigate about our presence. It means they have discovered something about our presence, or else they are trying to detect something in the surrounding. This is, wow, Steffi, this is one of the lovely sighting. I am enjoying this kind of a sighting because it's very rare to see these kind of animals nice and close like this on a guided walk. They are not very far away from us. This is lovely. So this is a Wali Muhammad, this is indeed very much beautiful. You can see they are here together with their little ones. This is a breeding herd. So a breeding herd, you will see the small ones as well. You can see some of them are very much relaxed. Monica, indeed, this is wonderful. This is something I was not expecting. I was after Hosanna. While I was following Hosanna's tracks, then accidentally I saw the elephants coming to this pen. Look at that. Very much relaxed, not worried. Maybe we are at a distance of about less than 50 meters away from these elephants. We are very much nice and close. It's just that we are on top of a very nice barrier, a big house of the termites, a termite mound. Least the elephants drink 150 to 200 liters of water a day, and they eat approximately 400 kilograms. You can see some of them. Lynn, this is indeed a privilege. This is one of the rare sightings. This is the first time since my arrival to come across the elephants nice and clear at a close range like this, comfortable as they are. Look at that. So when they are picking up the air particles, they will know what is in the area. Obviously, they are trying to detect where we are, but they are battling to get an exact spot. Charmaine, Elephants are lovable animals. They are peaceful animals only when they've got babies, when the bull is on mast. Mast is a very unpredictable condition which is caused by the level of testosterone. But normally, they are very peaceful animals. Mostly elephants, after drinking during the summer season, they prefer to swim. You will see all the youngsters as well pushing and playing in the water. Stacy, we are right on top of the termite mound, and there is even a very nice available cover behind us. Yes, sense of smell is telling them there's something, but the eyesight is not that very good. But apart from that, the elephants don't see us as a threat here. This is lovely. Thank you very much for having me on this unscheduled live broadcast, and thank you very much for all your comments and questions. Now, goodbye. The unscheduled broadcast is over. This is lovely. A very good morning again. I am still here at one of the best sightings ever, and I can even see more elephants coming from the other side, still deep in the thick bushes coming towards this direction. Not too sure how many are there in this herd. It seems like it is a very big herd. Now they are starting to move. They are starting to leave the water hole. The one heading I can see is a female. Maybe that is the matriarch of the herd. So now, let's see, James is very lucky on the other side. He got the Nkuhumas, the beautiful lions of Juma. Let's see how the Nkuhumas are doing.
Well, they're doing precisely what they were doing the last time you were with us. They are fast asleep, some of them. Some of the cubs are a little more entertained. I suspect probably by the blanket sticking out of the car. Quite interested by that. The one that is looking up there, I think, is looking at my blankie. Yep, that's exactly what it was. I just stuck my foot out the car and she lifted her head. You see, I have a blankie on. And when I did that, she became quite interested. No, I'm not going to sort of encourage that sort of behaviour. I'll tuck my foot back in. We don't want her coming over to sample my right foot. I need my right foot. I think they look very well fed. I'm not sure if they've eaten recently or not. By recently I mean last night, but it's possible. Oh, I see, and there you can see the nasty wound on the oldest lioness there. There's the wound on the oldest lioness. And Shamsun, well, yes, I suppose they're going to have to be ready to mate with the Avoca males now. We've certainly had the Talamatis mating with the Avoca males. I did say the other day that Amber Eyes was mating with one of them, but there's an amber-eyed female in the Talamati pride, I'm told, by Michael Fleetwood. And that was who was mating with the Avoca boys. So they haven't yet, as far as we know, mated with the Avoca males. And the likelihood is that they will very soon. So the Avoca boys, for those of you who don't know, are the new male coalition in town, and very unusually have managed to take a territory quite possibly just after all, around about their 5th birthdays. And they walked into this area, found the Birmingham boys absent, found themselves 2 prides of lions, or 3 actually, probably Talamati Sticks and the Nkuhumas, and possibly the Torchwood pride even. And those 3 males are going to, well, hopefully for them, sire a long lineage with those 3 or 4 prides of females. Meanwhile, the Birmingham boys have headed down south. They were hitherto the dominant coalition of this area. 4 much older male lions, probably about 8 now. Now that's interesting, because Tristan is saying that Amber Eyes did mate with one of the evokers. Now, I thought that it had been the amber-eyed female from the Talamati pride that mated with the evokers. Tristan says no, it is Amber Eyes of the Nkuhumas. Anyway, the evokers have been mating, so they have solidified their role here, their reign here. And perhaps Amber Eyes of the Nkuhumas, notoriously poor, shall we say? I don't like to use the word poor, but unsuccessful as a mother so far. Maybe she will be successful with the evokers. She will be one of the females lying here in amongst this great carpet of tawny. And they're lying so close together, of course, because there's a nasty chilly wind coming out of the southeast, which is, well, unpleasant. We're supposed to be heading towards the summer now. I'm not sure we need an unpleasant cold wind blowing from the southeast. Still, it's probably slightly warmer than it is in the Masai Mara. Jamie, there aren't 11 females in this pride. There are 5 adult females and 6 youngsters. 5 of those youngsters are female, 1 is a young male. Now, are all 11 here? David, can you count 11 lions there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yes, there are 11 lions there. Yes, they look very well fed. I'm sure they whacked something last night. I think that one cleaning itself is the young male there. Alrighty, back to the Masai Mara with David Gigi Gatambagethu. Ask him to say Masai Mara to you. It's one of my favourite expressions in all the world. Masai Mara. Welcome to the Masai Mara.
Thank you, James, for having reminded me the Nkuhumas. And please faith ask James for me. I can't remember very well, but I guess the total number of the Nkuhuma prides was 11. I could be wrong. Talking of 11, because I got 10 here of the Olololo pride, but when all together, the Olololo pride consists of 16 strong. There are only 16 number. Very good. Thank you, James. And yeah, I mean, James just confirmed to me the Nkuhumas in Juma in South Africa are 11. And when we are here in the Masai Mara, we got 11 of the Olololo pride here in the Masai Mara. We got 11 of them. But the total number of these pride here that we call the Olololo pride is always 16. Currently, we got 10 here in the Masai Mara. And the bush they are looking at, that's where we have now concluded the prey is. Not anything we can see, but the time they have spent looking in that bush, we got a feeling whatever they'll be going for will be in there. I might have to swallow my humble pie talking about the wind earlier. As you can see, the grass is blowing. Sorry, James, about that. And the grass is moving very fast. I thought the wind doesn't get as busy or as fast until about 3 or 4 o'clock, but at the moment it seems to be blowing the grass a little bit faster than I expected. That sometimes when you see it blowing like that, as you go back to our lions, it might mean we might get some rain later. What you call the pathfinder there, she's still on that Tamban Mound, looking the same direction the other 3, 4 were looking. And if you hear any noise or any sound of engines, could be cars around us, was enjoying this beauty of the Olololo lions. Now they're taking a bit of fast pace towards the bush, and either they might be going to look for some shade there later in the day, or whatever they've been looking at is hiding there. And this will lead the whole pride. I think she'll have the final word on which direction they'll be going. She has really focused in that particular area, in that little drainage in the background there. And either she can see something we can't see, and most likely my guess have been like a warthog or something feeding there, or something maybe laying there. Who knows? We could have an animal that is just sick and just resting there. So you can see these ones now, they're all heading in the same direction towards the bush. And there's some trees there, as you can see James panning them up. And all of them, those are orange-leafed croton, walking through the red oat grass. Stop, look, decide. So it's warming up. Either now they would be going to get some shade or have a drink. Amber, how are you? And you're asking, will the male lions know which female they have mated with? Now, I'll tell you, Amber, one, that the females are in general polyestrous. Polyestrous means they would come in heat a number of times and they would mate with different males. I do not know for a fact whether the male would know which female it mated with, but so long as she's in estrus and they get in contact with the male will definitely go ahead and mate with it. I highly doubt, I have no idea to say 100% if the male would know for a fact, I mated with this one, I mated with that one, or that one. That could be a bit tricky to know, and yes, I would say it's difficult for the males to know which females they might have mated with. But what happens is, as soon as the female is in estrus, if she doesn't conceive the time they're mating, then she comes back in heat. She'll definitely go to another male and they'll mate again. Alrighty. Jamie is just on a drive. I'm sure she might have left her hyenas. Let's find out what she got for us now.
I am driving away from Sloth Bear and Sour, who are very much hidden in the bushes, and going off in search of other hyenas to look at. But it does give me a great opportunity to tell you the story of why I'm so tired, as I promised you I would. So Manu and myself have been putting in some irregular hours with Waffles and the rest of the clan. So we've been doing early mornings, and then we've been going back in the afternoon, staying into the night, rinse, repeat. Last night, I very decadently changed my alarm from 3 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock in the morning, which is indulgent, I know, but we thought that extra hour might make a bit of a difference. Anyway, I climbed into bed and with the feeling of, you know, when you're so exhausted, you want to climb into bed. It's the most blissful feeling in the world, and you can't wait for the night's sleep ahead. About halfway through the night, and I'll stop at the zebra, because you might as well not look at the back of my head while I tell this story. About halfway through the night, I had this terrible dream that I was on fire, which was awful. And I woke up, and the reality was not quite as serious, obviously, fortunately, but I was absolutely covered in siafu, or the safari ants that occasionally invade our tents. It's a relatively regular occurrence, but this was quite bad. And I had probably around about 30 or so in my hair, biting my scalp, all down my arms, my armpit, in my t-shirt. I mean, it was just a nightmare. Now, typically, Brent is a very light sleeper. I mean, a moth flaps its wings in a next-door room and Brent will wake up. But apparently, he was so exhausted that he didn't believe me. So I started to try and wake him up, and I'd got up, I turned the lights on, I'm busy trying to get these ants out of my hair, they're biting me, and I'm trying to wake Brent up, and he's going, "No, leave me alone." I think he thought I was waking him up for the morning and that I'd forgotten that he wasn't going out. He didn't realize what was going on, and his pillow was covered. I was watching him crawl into his hair, and he wouldn't move. And then eventually I shook him again, and he sort of sat up, looked at me and went, "I don't see any ants, I'm going back to sleep," and flopped back down on the pillow. I'm not proud of my thought that crossed my mind, but at 1:30 in the morning I thought, should I just let them eat him? At this point, I mean, it's every man for himself in a scenario like this, and they're in my hair and they're biting me, and I'm trying to keep them off him, so I abandoned him. And eventually we we managed to sort of sweep them off the bed. But at this point, I went outside. It's freezing. The tents are we both prefer to have light and air rather than having the tent all closed up. So all the flaps were open. It was freezing cold. I'm standing there in my shorts. Walk outside. The place is carpeted outside our tent in ants. So I'm stomping my feet. It was an absolute disaster. Climbed back into bed, but now, even if we are ant-free, and I wasn't, I still had them in my hair. I have a fair amount of hair for them to hide in. Even if we were ant-free, you after an experience like that, your nerve cells start to twitch and reflex arcs start to react without any thought in them. And you start kicking and squirming. And anyway, I realized it was 2 o'clock in the morning and I had 2 hours left of sleep. And then I started to panic that I wasn't going to go to sleep. And so I didn't. And that is the story of last night and living in the Masai Mara. Occasionally we get invaded by ants. It was, in hindsight, quite hilarious, especially when I was brushing my hair this morning and the carcasses of my enemies were falling out of it. Loads and loads of dead ants. It was just Brent going, I don't see any ants, as he sits up covered in ants, with them streaming out of the window seams down onto our roof. No, I don't see any ants. I should have just abandoned him. I couldn't, though. It's the same bed. Alright, so that's the story of the reason why Manu and I are heading home now. Let's go back across to James with the Nkuhumas.
There are the Nkuhumas. I'm fascinated by why Jamie's got ants in her hair. I would be asking some questions of Brent Leo Smith myself. If I was living with him in a tent and I woke up with ants crawling all over myself. Now, the Nkuhumas have not done anything further since I last saw you, and there's a child on a car that's reversing out of here, and I just heard it cry. And normally, it's why you don't take very young children on safari unless you're on a private vehicle, which those people are, so it's absolutely fine. But often lions and leopards will react to a child's cry. It's like a distress call. And quite interestingly, they didn't. They hardly looked up. I've been watching a couple of francolins knocking about here, but other than that, they are rather wishing the wind would stop blowing so that they could lie in the sun and be comfortable. Bloob, yes, this is really live. I'm not sure how else to prove it to you other than to answer your question live. Bloob, this is a live safari. We have been accused of green screening everything here, which was quite amusing. And we were then attacked for somebody complaining about us green screening. This will probably unleash another load of attacks about that. Anyway, well, this is not a green screen. We are sitting live in the Kruger National Park and the Masai Mara of Kenya. And these animals are as alive as you and I, Bloob. I know they don't look like they're alive, some of them, but that is the want of lions, to try and look as dead as possible for at least 20 hours of the day. The fact that we have one licking another one can be considered high action in a lion sighting. Of course, Taylor, with her lions, with any luck, will have them setting to on some crossings. It's fascinating to watch that Paradise Pride go for poor swimmers as they've come across the water. Anyway, Masai Mara is a fairly savage place. All right, everyone, that is going to be it for the Sunrise Safari today. We will see you again at 1500 hours Central African time from the Masai Mara and, of course, the Sabi Sands in South Africa. Thank you for your questions and comments. Until we see you later, may you remain happy. Bye-bye.